And finally, this also goes with the issue of Common Core, which I know is a very big issue here in Iowa, and it's one that's very important to me. I wrote a book called Blue Collar Conservative, and I talked about the importance of education. There have just been 2 books published, which I talk about all the time. One from a guy from the far left by the name of Robert Putnam, who wrote a book called Our Kids. He's a Harvard sociologist, a liberal. The other written a few years ago by a guy named Charles Murray, who's a libertarian, writes for the American Enterprise Institute. And those 2 books come to the same conclusion, that the principal problem of the hollowing out of America, the principal problem of children not achieving, the principal problem of us not being able to rise as we had the opportunity in the past, centers around primarily the breakdown of the American family. And these are things I was talking about, as you know, talking about the American family is the basic small business. It's the first economic unit. And it's fractured. And as a result, what we're seeing is the left and the right coming together and saying, we don't know what to do about it. They both basically concede that. But they realize that, and this is Putnam saying, he said, you know, if you come from a 2-parent family, from a neighborhood of 2-parent families, and you go to the schools in that community where most 2-parent family kids go, the chances of you succeeding are incredibly high in America, and it doesn't matter whether you're race, color, or creed. They're the same. Let me repeat that. They're the same. There's no racial differentiation if you come from that neighborhood. Conversely, if you come from a single-parent family in a neighborhood of single-parent families, that's important. So you can be in a single-parent family in a neighborhood where there's a mix, but if you come from a single-parent family in a neighborhood of single-parent families, and the school is single-parent families, the chance, according to Putnam, the chance that you will rise to the top 20% of income earners, which is not the top 1%, top 20% is 3%. Now, I don't know about you, but that's something, if I'm a Republican, if I'm a conservative, if I'm an American, that's not good enough. That's just not good enough. And we have to say, we need to do something about that. And if it means stepping on some eggshells and saying, you know what, we need to start talking about the family. We need to start talking about what government is doing to hurt the family, what it's doing to help the family, what we can do as a community at large to try to help reinvigorate this vitally important thing for our children. Finally, education. I said, you know, we don't need Common Core. I don't know of any teacher in America who thinks that the reason we have dropout rates of 50% in our worst schools is because of education standards. Education standard is not the problem in these schools that are failing. The problem is that we don't have parents engaged in the education enterprise in their homes and in schools. I'm as tough on public education as anybody, but I'm sick and tired of the scapegoating of teachers and administrators like it's their problem, they're the only reasons things are failing. That's not true. We all have to take and shoulder that responsibility. And we need to have an honest discussion about a revolution in education. And the last thing we need is elites in our culture telling us what should be taught in our schools. What we need are parents to be fully engaged in that enterprise. And every aspect, and begin to not just engage them, but talk about the importance of them for their children's future and America's future.